Welcome to Drawing the Weather. I'm going to talk to you about drawing clouds. And we're going to look at several different techniques and whatnot. And so let's get started. So for this first approach, this first technique, I'm going to take a pencil sharpener and a Woodless graphite pencil, and I'm going to sharpen it on the page, because what we're going to do first is tone the sky. There's several different ways you can tone the paper for the sky. This is just one of the ways. Another technique you can use is basically just going over with a pencil lightly or a little heavier and just blending it in with a blending stump or a napkin. But I'm doing it this way because it's quicker. Back and forth. Just bring that down. Just bring that over a little bit. There we go. You get a nice gradient from the top down to near the bottom of the sky, which would be lighter near the horizon. Probably could use a little bit darker in this area, but I think that should be good enough for now. Alright, so a sky that's darker at the top, lighter at the bottom. So now I'm just going to, with the same pencil, I'm just going to draw on a basic horizon line. Nothing too fancy. Maybe some hills and stuff. Alright, so drawing clouds, there's several different ways you can approach this. And usually I like to use an eraser pencil or a pencil cap eraser. And sometimes kneaded erasers will work as well. Or even your vinyl eraser. I'm not sure what brand this is. I think it's a Faber-Castell brand. But they also Stedler, which is a really good eraser. So I'm going to use this pencil cap eraser to create these clouds. And there's going to be some cumulus clouds, so I'm just going to do these like circular motions. It's almost like painting. It's almost like painting with an eraser. Or drawing, depending on how you look at it. So we'll have the sunlight coming this way. So the highlights be like right in there. On the left side of the clouds. And then you can just like sort of fill it in a little bit. Don't go too crazy. This is where the more painterly like effect comes in. Painting the clouds with an eraser. Just basically trying to create the basic shape of this cloud here. You don't have to pay too much attention to detail quite yet. Just kind of want to block it in. Make it kind of like a cloud-like shape. Maybe a few pieces here and there. So now we can go to the eraser pencil, part of this pencil, and start to carve out the highlights. Of course, there's going to be some eraser dust there. Now I'll just take this dusting brush and just get rid of those eraser filings there. And look, we have a cloud, but we're not quite done yet. I'm going to go in with a 2B pencil and then just add some shadows. So I'm basically just going back and forth with like diagonal strokes, sort of, and maybe some circular motions. I'm mostly doing this on the base of the clouds. Alright, so now take a blending stump and we just blend that in. Make a nice smooth base for our clouds. And also smooth out some of the shadows from within the cloud. And you can even sort of smooth the cloud base into the sky a little bit. And also lightly do that with the edge of the clouds. Make them look a little bit fluffier. Because you don't want your clouds to have very sharp edges. You want to make them look like they're actually up there floating in the sky. So just a little bit of smoothing and blending here and there. And then you can also go back in and add some more highlights. And it's important to not overwork your clouds, because if you overwork them too much, sometimes it can just become a big mess. And your highlights won't be as light, and your shadows will just be a big mess. Alright. Over here. I'm also going to put a little bit of highlight on the back side. It's kind of like backlighting. Make it just a little bit lighter. I'm going to take the dusting brush, get rid of the eraser filings. There we go. That's just a basic cumulus cloud. Maybe could use just a little bit more work. Sometimes you gotta press down a little bit harder to get those highlights to pop. There we go. Alright, so now we're zoomed in, and I'm going to create some other kinds of clouds here. I think I'll use the 2B again. And we'll just I'll start blocking in these clouds down here. It'll be further away, so it's not going to be quite as big. Just gonna go in by creating just the shadows. Of these clouds a bit longer. Maybe it would be more stratiform rather than cumuliform. I'm going to go with a blending stump. I'm just going to use some circular motions to create these clouds. I'm going to go back and forth horizontally, smooth out the bases a bit. And then I'm going to go in with the eraser pencil and create some highlights. I'll just brush the eraser dust away. And then I'll go back in with the 2B to enhance the shadows a little bit. These clouds are further in distance, so you don't want too much emphasis on the shadows. And I will go back in with the blending stump to help smooth them out. Alright, and there's those clouds. Now let's just for the heck of it, let's throw in some wispy cirrus clouds up here. Just by flicking the eraser pencil. Maybe some areas will be a little bit thicker. Use some shorter strokes here and there. Alright, so now let's look at some other techniques we can use for drawing clouds. Alright, so now this time I'm going to be drawing the sky around the clouds. So I'm going to take a woodless graphite pencil and I'm going to start mapping out the clouds. Now we've got a basic sky with clouds. So I'm going to go in with a blending stump. I'm going to go in with a larger blending stump and blend in the sky. Alright, so now I'm going to go in with the pencil cap eraser. Start to define the cloud's edges a little better. Make them a little bit softer. And it's alright if we have some graphite that came into the white spaces for the clouds. So I'm going to go in with the 2B and start adding some shadows. Just using the hatching motion again. I'm going to blend out those shadows with the blending stump, smaller one. You can also move the graphite around and create some other shadows, other forms within the cloud. I'm going to go in with the eraser pencil, just enhance some of these highlights. Clean it up a little bit. I'm going to darken those shadows slightly. Going to work some more of that up into the lighter areas of the clouds too. I'm just going to smooth that over a little bit with the dusting brush. Alright, so that's another approach to drawing clouds. As we move on in the series, I think the next episode perhaps will be another cloud tutorial on drawing some dark and stormy skies. Maybe we'll throw in some landscape elements in there as well. And also at some point we'll draw clouds with colored pencil. The techniques will probably be similar to this particular technique when it comes to drawing clouds with colored pencil. And yeah, so that's the plan for now. We'll just play around with our heads in the clouds, and then we'll move on to something else. Alright, so see you next time.